We all know that Fortnite has had a variety of different things in the game. Weapons, vehicles, items, consumables, characters, you name it. Fortnite has pretty much done it all at this point. But today we're going to be looking at the weirder side of things. I'm just going to point out some of the funnier things that have been in the game over the years as we go over random Fortnite things that made no sense at all. Hopping straight into it, first up on the list, we have the OG legendary Scar doing 98 headshot damage. Imagine it's season 1. You're running around with no shield, and you just take one little shot. All of a sudden, you're at 2 HP. You would have thought you got sniped. I mean, besides the fact that the OG Scar was satisfying to shoot and had a very satisfying sound to it, there was absolutely no reason at all for it to be doing that kind of damage. And while we're at it, what about the purple scoped AR doing 96 headshot damage? Pair that with the fact that virtually nobody ever had shield, and these numbers are actually insane. However, at the time, nobody ever really thought of it. Just like most things on this list, actually. Nobody ever saw these things as being weird or not making sense. It was all normal to us. We were just having fun playing the game. Moving on, up next we have boom boxes. Introduced in Season 7 and vaulted in that same season, you could throw these down and they would pretty much just play loud music, but they would destroy structures around it. Now, when it first came out, the duration lasted a whole 25 seconds. A couple updates later, and then it only lasted 5 seconds. My guess for it being in the game for such a short time is because it was basically useless. Okay, that's just my opinion. But personally, I just never picked these things up. I mean, let's just say you do position it perfectly to knock down a player's builds. Realistically, all they had to do was just move over a little bit and start to build up again. That or either shoot your builds down too, because they didn't do damage to the player at all. I just don't think they were all that useful in my opinion, and I just never picked them up. Coming up next, we have shotguns that were snipers. I know you guys remember when shotguns dealt tons of damage at crazy distances. And when I say crazy distances, I mean you could literally be in sniper range and still be able to deal 50 damage with the pump shotgun. I mean, there was virtually no damage fall off at all. Like, looking back at it now, this was absolutely insane and had no business whatsoever being a thing in this game. Now, unlike the Scar, I think more people definitely noticed that this was actually a problem. But yeah, there's not really much to say about this one because it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, this was crazy. Alright, next up, y'all are probably going to get on my head about this, but we have shopping carts. Alright, wait. Before you go to the comments and do me dirty, hear me out real quick. Just because I say it doesn't make sense does not mean that I dislike it, okay? Alright, now, I personally love the shopping carts. Matter of fact, I think everybody loved them. Shopping carts were technically the first vehicles ever added into Battle Royale. Now, obviously, they're not vehicles, but they do fall into the vehicle category. You could push the cart around and even ride in it down mountains to gain a ton of speed. They were pretty glitchy and buggy when they were first released, but they were a ton of fun. Remember when you could use them to get into that bunker at Wailing Woods? Anyways, I mean, shopping carts were just so random at the time that it actually kind of did make sense to have them in the game. I personally think they fit Fortnite very well at the time, so maybe they shouldn't be on the list. Anyways, let's move along and let's talk about when Fortnite didn't have sprinting. So the tactical sprint wasn't added until Chapter 3 Season 2. So before then, you would just kind of walk around the map. Okay, I'm just kidding. You wouldn't actually walk around the map, but you did move pretty quickly back then. But it just wasn't the sprint that we have in the game today. I would say the map was still a decent size during these past chapters, but knowing that we can sprint now, it's just kind of crazy to think that we used to move half that speed, especially during the early times when there were no mobility items at all. Yet, still nobody really complained about it because we love the game that much. Alright, next up, we have the mechs. Now, they were introduced in Season X and ended up getting vaulted in Chapter 2, Season 1. But during that time, they were a problem. They spawned at random spots around the map. They had 1250 HP and could hold 2 players each, one to control the movement and one to shoot the turret. The mechs could run and stomp on players and destroy builds in its way. If you came across one of these, your game was pretty much over. People were terrified of these things, and lots of players hated that they were even in the game. And honestly, they're not wrong. These things had no business being in the game whatsoever. But in my personal opinion, I think they were pretty fun. They were fun if your team was able to get one, and they were also fun to go up against if you ever came across one. Alright, coming up next, we have ghost bullets. For anyone who doesn't know what ghost bullets are, it's basically if you shoot someone and nothing happens. In Fortnite, this commonly happened with shotguns. You would shoot someone, you would see the hit marker and everything, but for some reason it just wouldn't do anything to the player. No damage or nothing. And I think this is something that quite literally did not make any sense at all. This one actually happened to me quite often. I remember there was one point in time, I don't remember exactly when, but this was a very often occurrence. But check out this clip of Fearless getting like 5 of these in a row. Next up, we have a pretty funny one actually. We have emoting on vehicles, more specifically emoting on the motorbike. There's not much to say about this one as it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just really funny to watch your character do whatever dance they want while miraculously balancing on the back of the bike. Alright, now brace yourself, because this next one, it actually almost broke the game. Up next, we have the 11 damage pickaxe. Nowadays, if you pickaxe someone, it does 20 damage, right? It's kind of been that way for a long time now, but in the early days of Fortnite, the pickaxe actually did 11 damage. Why? I have no idea. It was eventually changed to do 10 damage and then 20 damage as we know it now. This one actually was just kind of funny, and I thought I should add it on the list. Now, this next one might be a hot take, but bear with me. But next up, we have the OG Victory Royale screen. Hear me out now, hear me out. The reason this doesn't make any sense is simply because of how bland it was. Let's put ourselves in a random situation. It's the end of the match and you're in a 1v1. You see the last player and y'all get into an intense sniper battle or an AR battle or whatever it might be. I mean, at this point, you're sweating bullets. But you finally get that kill and you win the game. And a little tune plays and a number 1 Victory Royale just kind of pops up on the screen. No animation or anything. I think we can all agree that it was just kind of bland, honestly. However, we all loved it. I feel like when you think Victory Royale, most people think of the OG version rather than the one we know today, honestly. Remember in 2017 and 18 when you used to get on Snapchat and everybody was posting their Fortnite wins? You might have even decided to post one yourself. Even though the OG Victory Royale screen was bland, it's definitely something that will always be in our heart. And that'll be all for this one. Those were just some random things that I didn't think made any sense in Fortnite. But this video was just for fun. None of it is to be taken too seriously. But if you stay to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Maybe you could leave a like or maybe even hit that sub button. I don't know. But comment down below if you want to see a part 2 to this.